Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a near nerd. I am a nerd, and you are here for the Tabs3 virtual user group meeting from Attorney Computer Systems for April of 2017. There, I said it, and I only screwed it up, 3-4 times. But here we are, you and me, and Mary Jo, and Patty, our humble moderator. And today we are talking about trust. Today's a trust episode. Mary Jo's going to talk about trust reporting, give you a quick overview of what's available. And I'm going to talk about the new automatic trust payment feature that was introduced in version 18. With that said, and without further ado, I am going to press a series of magical buttons that will take us to a place where we can talk about the trust reports.
Okay. So reporting and trust, wow, it sounds like a really, really broad topic, and it kind of is, but you'll see in trust, we don't have a lot of reports in here. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly go through each report and tell you exactly what it's going to give you as far as an output. Well, maybe not exactly what it's going to give you, but I'll give you an idea of what each of these reports are going to do for you and why they're a little bit different. And then if we have enough time before it's Paul's turn, I might even ask somebody, you can raise your hand and tell me what report you want me to go into, and I can maybe do a little detail on one. But it'll be a first come, first serve, so be thinking about it as we go. All right, so check register by trust account. So this is going to give me a list of all of the checks or EFTs or things that I have done by trust account. So whatever the client matter is or whatever, and I have a trust account for it, I can list all those out and get a total of all of those things that I've done on that particular trust account. And it would total each one, and then you can even include the grand totals on that. The check register by check number is just that. If I'm looking for a specific check number and I want to see what it is, or what did I write that check number out for, or where did that come by number? I want to search by that check number. That will give me that register, and I can even plug in a certain check number and find it. The check register by payee is going to give me an entire list of all the payees that I paid, whether it is the client, it's the firm, it's the a vendor that we had out there that we were paying, a third party. That's going to break it down and subtotal it by all of the payees, and then also I can get a grand total of all of those. So that's a really good report. So all three of these are check registers, but all of them present the data to me in a whole different way. If you're looking at just a straight check register, the one you're going to want is probably the one by check number. All of these can be done by a date range, so that then you can just filter it right down to either a day, a month, a week, whatever you want, a quarter, a year. You can see all of that in that kind of a format. The client trust ledger is going to be similar to the client ledger in tabs. So think of it as all of the activity, deposits, EFTs, checks, anything that has happened on a client from start to finish on that particular trust account. I should say matter, but in that matters trust account. So you'll get when it was opened, when the first deposit went in, how much has went out, all the way through until whenever you're running this. And again, you have date ranges available for that. The next one is our trust account list. And the trust account list is just going to list every single trust account with a balance of what's in it, and then the total amount that's in my my trust account at the bank. That total amount that's there, broken out by each trust account, so I know exactly how that money is dispersed within that trust account. Very fast, easy way to get a quick listing of what's going on in the trust. The voided checklist is pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to give you the list of all the voided checks that you've done. 1099 report is going to give me all of the vendors that are going to meet the criteria that for the 1099. I believe it's $600 or more that you've paid to a certain payee, and it will spit out a report there for you so that you know how many 1099s you're going to have to order to do for that for the trust account. The credit card, I can't even read that, authentication list, authorization list. So that one is, I'm not even sure what that one does. I'm just kidding. So that's going to give you.
I never know whether you're kidding.
I know. So, oops, and I just clicked on it. So this is going to give me some different options here of when things were authorized and what's going to come out for charges, credits, voids, all of those kinds of things. So it's exactly what it says it is. It's a credit card authorization list. The next one is the payee. Oops, and I keep clicking on those. I don't want to do that. So if I want to get a whole list of all of the payees that are out there. So, just everybody that I have on my list, that's a great way to print that off and see if you have any duplicates, if you want to merge them, or just get an alphabetical listing of all of them. I believe you can also do that by number, but that's just going to give you a list of all the pays that are currently listed in there. That way you can start cleaning those up or doing what you need to with that. The bank account list is going to give me just a list of all of the trust bank accounts I have listed in there, so that I have that information. And then lastly, I have my attorney list, so I can see all of the attorneys that are on there as well. So these last ones are really just kind of file lists of what's data that's already in there, so that you can modify, change, whatever it is that you want to do there. So I have, what, Paul, about 5 minutes. So this is the first time I'm opening this up live. Anybody that wants one of these reports open in more detail, you can raise your hand. You'll have a few seconds to do it, and then I have to turn it over to Paul.
Do you have any takers, Patty?
Any takers? Anybody want one in more detail? Let me know which.
Well, if we don't have any takers, we're going to have you go into the check register by trust account, because I think that's probably the most important one there.
Yeah. Paul's going to override you if you don't give me something.
3, 2, 1. Okay, Mary Jo, let's take a deep dive into the check register by trust account.
Okay, so the check register by trust account is probably going to be one of the common ones that you're going to want to do. But if you want to see all of the activity here, you can pick either one trust account, or you can do multiples or a range. So you can come in there and pick those different trust accounts that you want to see this for, or could just do one. Or if you leave it open, it will do it for all of them. So it's really kind of up to you there. Bank account, you can do this by that. If you have more than one trust account that you are putting trust money in, you can narrow it down to a range or one bank account here. You can even do it by the responsible attorney. So if you're looking within a certain one, you just want to see all the transactions that were associated with one certain responsible attorney, you can do that. Again, you also have an open date range. So this is just when the trust account was open. It's not when the transactions happened. This is just how this particular trust account was opened between January and December of a certain year or something like that. Okay. Then you also have the ability to put the transaction date. So here is where we can list all of the transactions for a certain date, or if we leave it open, again, it's going to give us everything. So you can pick your range. This is going to have everything, so you're going to see the checks, deposits, and EFTs, and it also will have check numbers in there. Options, you can include trust accounts with no activity, so if there's just not been anything that's happened but you still want to include those, you can do that. On the sort tab, you can sort it by responsible attorney or not by unchecking it, and you can also do the subtotals by each trust account. You also have the ability to sort it by numeric or alpha. So if you want it alphabetical, just switch it to alpha. I'm leaving everything just pretty much wide open because this is test data. I have no idea what's out there, so we're just going to go ahead and do our little Russian roulette of reports here. I'll make this a little bigger so you can see it on the screen. So really what this is doing is taking each trust account. It's giving me all of the initial deposit, all activity in here that has been done on this particular report. And this is very similar to a client ledger report in that it is listing out all those deposits, EFTs, checks, and things like that. But on here, it's also telling me, I can tell whether the check is unpaid, if there's a check number, any of those things, I've got that in here in this description. So, and I've got all my totals at the bottom. So this is really giving me a lot of detail when I do the check register by trust account, as opposed to doing it by, just the check number, or if I do it by, the payee, I'm going to have different totals here. So that is the check register by trust account. Paul?
Well, now that you've got all that money in. So now that you've got all that money in your bank account, your trust bank account, you need to pay the firm, among other things. But that's one of the main things that you do with the money that's in trust, at least for many firms it is. And so in the past, up until version 18, you had to kind of do that manually. Now, the actual creation of the payment entry in tabs was an effect of having created the payment in trust. So that part's not new. You pay the firm through trust, and it automatically creates the payment in tabs and automatically creates the corresponding entries in GL to show that as income at that point. But that had to be done manually in trust. You would create a list of all the people that owed you money and all the people that had trust balances, and you would compare them and you'd decide who you were going to pay from trust. Then you would go into trust and manually make a payment entry. That's changed. We now have automatic trust payments. And so if you go into tabs, you can see in the setup for the matter, get in there, oops, and I always have to go around, jump around here. Trust account balances, client funds. What screen, Mary Jo, is the trust integration on? All right, I know. Where does it get set up? Trust integrate. I always have to look at every screen. I can never. Are you talking about, like, it's on the statement option? Thank you. Okay, that's the actual format for trust integration, but then there's also a place where you can tell it on a matter-by-matter basis that you want to automatically, that's done over in trust. Okay, gotcha. So you've set up on statement options, you've set your level of integration as far as the detail you're going to show in trust. So everything we want to configure here is going to be done in the trust accounting software. Now, before we can set it up on a trust by trust or a matter by matter basis, you must first go into setup and go into the bank account. And I'm going to pull up bank account number 1. And over here, under integration settings, you've got the ability to allow automatic payments and whether they're going to be EFTs or checks. This is new. And in order for this to happen, you have to have at least set up a regular payment code. And if you wanted to break it down by fees, expenses, and advances manually as opposed to doing it automatically, you'd also have to set up these transaction codes. So these are your corresponding payment codes in tabs. This is telling it, yes, I want to do this for this bank account, and whether it's going to be EFTs or checks that it's issuing when it creates the automatic payments. Then you need to go into, let me get this out of the way, into customization, right up here. And we need to get Ron out of tabs. Or I think I can just say, Mary Jo, does this work? No, it doesn't do it here. Yeah, we'll get Ron out of tabs. Come on, Ron, get out of here. This is one of those situations where you need to have people out of tabs and out of trust accounting in order to get in there. There we go. And if we look down here, we have allow Tabs3 to automatically create trust transactions. And you can decide whether you want it to be done for both current work and AR, current work only, or AR only. And this has to do with how you handle your trust. Do you bill your client and then the next time take a payment, the next time you bill them, do you take a payment for what was owed the previous statement? If that were the case, you'd set it to AR only. Okay. If you know that they're always only going to have current balances, then you could set it to current work only, but if that's the case, you might as well set it to both current work and AR because AR would never come into play. Most firms will set this to both current work and AR. So those two things need to be set up in the setup tab. You need to go into the bank account and allow the creation of the trust payments in tabs automatically, and you need to go into customization and tell it how to do that. And then you need to go into the trust account itself. And we have done this, I believe, for 1.2.1.01, and go over to balances, and under automatically use trust balance to pay all fee, expense, or just advances. So if you're only going to allow it to pay advances, or you're only going to allow it to pay expenses, or you're going to only allow it to automatically create fees, you need to have those codes set up that we talked about that are fee only, expense only, or advance only codes. We did not have those set up. And so since we didn't set those up, these are showing up as grayed out here because it's not an option. And we are only able to check at this point all. And then on a matter by matter basis, you can override the defaults and you can say, no, we want it for this one, we want it to be AR only, or for this matter, we only want it to be current work, or for this matter, we want it to be both, okay? And then you can also set an amount to bill and a target balance. These were there before, or at least the target balance was. so that it would maintain a certain balance in the trust account. So you don't need to set these, because if you've got it set like this, it's going to automatically pay. So again, if we then go over to tabs and get Marcus Phillips Client Manager back up, we'll see that he owes us $15.84 in AR, and that he's got some money that's accumulated, or some fees and accumulated, and he's also got some payments. And so if we print a bill for him now that we have set him to automatically pay from trust, it's going to show, obviously, a balance due of 0, because if there's enough money in trust, it's going to pay it that way. And what we'll see down here is that we've got a little bit that we're billing. We've got a write-off. This is a demo client, so a lot of junk in here, a lot of extra stuff. Here's a payment that was already in there. There's a couple other payments that were already in there. Here's the payment that is being affected today, 4/24/17, automatically from trust. And if we go down and we look at the trust activity, because he's set to show his trust activity on his bill, we see the opening retainer balance. We show this payment of what's left after these other random payments being pulled directly out of trust and reducing his trust balance. So there it is. Whatever they owe after any other credits or payments have been applied is what's being created automatically right here, so that trust payment, that payment right there, is coming out of trust automatically without you having to do it. And that, in effect, is the automatic trust payment from trust. And with that, it's time to tell you what to expect next month. We're going to talk, Mary Jo's going to talk about the new chart management in General Ledger. What that means is the neat way that the management and creation and editing of the chart of accounts has been constructed, so that it's now easy to move things around, easy to put headers and footers in, or headers and total accounts in, easy to move something from this section to that section, easy to create a new account. It's all been totally rewritten in version 18. Mary Jo's going to take a deep dive into that. And I'm going to take a deep dive into the payment allocation button, that something you might not even know is there. It's a button that shows up on your payment screen that when clicked shows how Tabs is going to automatically allocate this payment based on how you've told it to allocate the payment, and allows you, if necessary, to override that automatic allocation. So that's what I'll be talking about next month. It, of course, wouldn't be a virtual user group meeting without me taking you to the website and explaining that we list all of our video content right here. And if you either hover over that or just click on it, if you hover, it drops down the list that we're looking at right now. And if you click on it, it takes you to a separate page that has that same list in a little bit more detail. These are our video content titles. 4 of these are live events. You're currently in this live event. We also have a Practice Master and World Docs virtual user group meeting. And we have our Coffee Pot webinars. We also have our recorded video titles, Mary Jo's e-bite video series, where she takes neat little things that we find, and these are just 2 or 3 minute videos that take this really neat concentrated thing, explains it, and moves on. She records 1 of these each month for Tabs, 1 for Practice Master, and 1 for World Docs. And then we have our longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where I or Mary Jo will take a topic that's broader and spend a good deal more time, 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes, taking a deep dive into all the intricacies of whatever topic we're covering that month. So we record 1 of these each month, 3 of these, and then we have our live events. If you click on one of these things, for instance, the Tabs3 virtual user group meeting, more info, I guess, is what you got to click on, then you will be taken to a page where you'll see a brief description and information about the next event. So here's our May event. Here are the topics I just announced. If you click this or this link here, either will take you to the same place to register for that event. If you scroll down, you'll see that this is what we're listening to right now, and therefore it's currently in post-production, is not available. However, if you scroll down a little more, every other Tabs3 virtual user group meeting that we've ever had is here in a recorded format. So there are literally hundreds and hundreds of videos from all the virtual user groups, the Coffee Pot webinars, and the e-bites, and Paul and Mary Jo show. So feel free to browse, and then you can also come up here and just type something straight into the search box and either get the quick list or click enter or click on the magnifying glass, and be taken to a longer format list where you can find, hopefully, exactly what you're looking for. So that's it for today. Everybody have a good rest of the afternoon and a good rest of the month, and we will see you here in May for the Tabs3 Virtual User Group meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.